Hello, my name is John Evans. I coach three of the highest jumpers in the world. This is one of them, Isaiah Rivera, and we are actually going to be talking about something pretty interesting that we've previously touched on, but we were able to finally corroborate, and that is potentially a passing of the crown, a passing of the torch. And this individual, Isaiah Espinoza, he also an Isaiah, so we can still say Isaiah has the highest vertical in the world. I just led on to what I was going to say. He tested 50 inches at dunk camp, and I'm always like very skeptical because it's my job. Like I've always been a skeptic, and we've seen a lot of people fudge it. That's the biggest reason why. If you're ever wondering like, well, why are you such a hater? It's like because I've just seen a lot of false data like
Yeah.
about it, and this is the most legit test I've ever seen where he has. So the number one qualm Isaiah and I have is that typically when guys test their vertical, their flight times do not corroborate it. So they'll test their vertical will come out to whatever it is, and then their flight times do not corroborate that, which means that something's not right. What should happen is that when you're hitting like close to 50, you should be like 0.96s or higher. It's just, and it depends on how you land because Isaiah's hit a second on the landing. So you do also need to look at the actual touch as well. And then by looking at both those data points, you're able to get a better picture of like what that person's actually jumping. And then kind of looking at the other variables, like did they measure the vertex? Did they measure his reach correctly? Did they I'm trying to think of like what other things that you could do. Did he
That's
land in a
basically
low?
it.
Did he
Measuring
land
the
in a low position when you're measuring
yeah.
flight time? Did you measure it correctly? What was the frame rate when you measured it? Those are all really important when you're doing this. So we have his reach being measured correctly. And backstory, Isaiah and I watched it live on the dunk camp feed, and then I called CJ after I saw it, and I was like, dude, you have to pull his arm up. Like if he's genuinely that like hitting 50 or about to hit 51, I need to know because I need to like there's a new king of vertical jump right now, and he came out of nowhere. Like I heard of this kid maybe one time a couple of years back, and Isaiah DM'd him, was like, "Hey, just make sure you measure your vertical like this." And Isaiah was like, "Okay, cool." And then in front of a crowd, some adrenaline, gets the actual measurement, and yeah, dude, he just pops off. Like so, Isaiah, you have the video, you can pull it up.
Yeah. So this is the edit. I also have the raw clip he sent us as well.
How does that look? I mean, I haven't downloaded it yet, but is it 4K, 60 frames?
It from my thing it was 1080. It might be 4K, but
Okay.
I don't know how to put that
Look
on
at it.
Final
He
Cut
told me it was
Pro.
100 frames per second, but maybe he didn't export it the right way when he put it on
It's
Google.
possible my Final Cut Pro always puts stuff at 60, even if I film in 120 or whatever. So
I'll download it right now. I'm gonna pause. Oh, are you ready? Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah.
He has it. Here we go. You want to play the audio, or just play it through?
That's a fit.
I'll play it again.
Is that
If you can
cheap?
see what he's about to do, you could have won $1,000. That's a 50-inch vertical. I don't have to tell you how crazy that is, but it's actually super easy to cheat your vertical. At the dunk camp, we had to make sure it's legit. Here's how. To make sure his numbers were accurate, we measured his standing reach and the vert trainer a second time and got the same numbers. On top of that, we made sure he was wearing the same shoes and using the same arm he used in his jump. His standing reach was 7'7" or 91 inches, and his max touch was 141 inches. That equals a legit 50-inch vert. Isaiah won $1,000, a crazy trophy, and a brand new vert trainer. Honestly, I didn't see this coming, but he did. If you can do what he's about to do, you could have won $1,000.
That was a really good video. Shout out Chi. Well done, Chi. Anyways, yeah, the kid's a freak, like just crazy. And what's insane to me is that I haven't seen any training videos. So, like we reviewed a video yesterday of why NBA players don't have 50-inch vertical, but like this kid literally is a case of he just tested 50 and like he didn't, none of the things apply that we talked about yesterday. Like he literally is like indestructible. He trains a little bit, like, doing some stuff, but I mean, he's pretty well demonstrating that he's a freak. I mean, that's the only thing I don't know. Isaiah, you said this and you were like, oh, I guess it's It made me laugh about like because his last name's Espinoza and yours
Yeah.
is Rivera. What did you say?
I don't remember.
It was something like it was funny. Anyways, I'm not gonna make
I
you
don't
say it
remember. It might have been a racist. It might have been like Hispanics is the new meta or something like that. Like
I
the jumping. New
I was
update
like,
just dropped.
I was like, maybe it's just a blend of everything. Like it's just
Yeah.
a boiling pot, or melting pot. Anyways,
Yeah.
so we have seen this now, and it's obviously freaky, right? He hits 50 inches officially there, very, very officially. And the crazy thing is, on his 49-inch jump, like I think that was his best jump. I mean, when I saw it, it might have been, was it 48 or 50 or 49?
I measured all the flight times. It was the 48. That was his best jump. All the flight times were pretty consistent. Mind you, it was 60 frames per second. So his true flight time, and I'm measuring, I can actually probably screen. I'll show how to measure flight times. Look at this. Can you see this?
Yeah, yep. You want to just make it full screen, or you just gonna?
Can you pause it real quick? Can you pause the video?
Yeah, I got it. So most people only use My Jump 2, which is the app that we always recommend because the frame rates are always right. But on this one, I was using 60 in Final Cut, and it tells you the frame rate. Where's the frame rate listed?
So if you look at here,
Second number is the behind this colon.
that's the frames, yeah. So it goes all the way up to 60. And then I measure the last frame that the toes are on the ground for. So I don't start measuring here. I start measuring here. I know Billy, he'll measure like this. Like he'll measure the last frame or the first frame that they're off the ground. And then
well, you got to think, you know, what's crazy is the last frame that they're on the ground is frame 0. So from frame 0 to frame 1, they should be off the ground, right? So you're doing it the correct way. And then the last frame they touch the ground is from, let's say in his case, 59 to 60. That's the last frame where he touched the ground. So yeah.
Yep. So if you look here, it was exactly a second, right? It was at 1.17 before.
He's in a fair configuration too. I was curious about that. It's not like he's bent over. He's not bending his knees. I mean, he's bent over a little bit, but he's not like he's like flexing his knees and landing in like a half squat or like planking like crazy.
And even though it's 60 frames, like that's pretty close to when he's first touching the ground.
He told me he had 0.99, like when he was doing 120 frames per second.
It probably is 0.9. That's what I was gonna say. If it was like even like 120 or 240, it would probably be 9.8 or 9.9. But yeah, that corroborates it really freaking well. Like that's on par when I have jumped my highest ever. When I've tested 50.5 last year, it was 9.8 something, maybe 9.8 on the dot.
So I asked you,
corroborates it. It's freaking legit. It's legit as hell.
I think so too. I think I might be freezing real quick. Oh, we're good. Okay. So my question to you was, do you feel any type of way? How do you feel about this? Like, are you competitive? Are you sad? Is it a mixture? And you kind of took a second, and I was like, wait, just tell me on the podcast, like how you actually how you feel, and you just be transparent.
Okay. When I was watching it live, I was hoping he wouldn't get it. that was my honest feeling. But it's how I would compare that feeling would be like if you're playing a basketball game and there's a guy and he has the ball and it's the last 3 seconds and he needs a 3-pointer to win the game. Like there's a part of you that hopes he misses. Like you don't want the person to make it, right? So that was how I feel initially. When he got it, I generally try to be supportive of people when they do crazy shit. Like me and Jay Clark have talked about this before. There's a part of you, specifically in the dunk world, when somebody hits a new dunk, that's like jealous. Like it's like, damn, like I wish I would have got that first. But then there's the part of you that's like,
congratulations.
And congratulations, right? Like
it's almost like a boxing match where they hug each other afterwards. You just beat the shit out of each other for like 25 minutes and then you're gonna hug each other. Like what?
Yeah. And there's also, I'm not gonna be the highest jumper in the world always. I might not even be the highest jumper in the world. I have like the highest recorded test, but you never know, right? Like this kid came out of nowhere and
Literally.
dropped a 50. I was aware of him. Like a lot of people said he came out of nowhere, but I was aware of him probably for the last year, I think.
Because he posted something saying he had like a 52, and we were like, "Whoa, 52s or 53."
Might have been higher. Might have been like a 54 or something like that. 53.
Yeah, and we were like, Isaiah, you got to measure your reach like in shoes, like reaching, and we'll see where you're at. And then he's like, "Okay, I'm like right at 50 or something." I don't. It was like 49.
I think when he did it, it was barefoot, and then like everything was like level. And to be fair, I don't think it came from a place of.
No, dude. He is honestly, Isaiah is one of the kindest kids you will ever meet. Like someone posted in one of the comments and was like you can tell he's just a good kid, dude. He's just a really good kid. But someone commented and was like, "Oh, bro, how does it feel to like just get beaten by someone who literally doesn't have to train when you train your whole life?" And I'm like, that's not like discrediting anyone. That's just to both of their credits. Like, if anything, that's just congratulations to both of them. And this kid has a lot of potential. Like, it doesn't discredit anything Isaiah has done. It's just like he's a freak. Yeah. You know, like that's like saying like, how does it feel that Usain Bolt ran a 9:58 and Carl Lewis ran a 9:70 whatever? Yeah. It's like it's still 9:70. Like, what do you mean?
Yeah. No, it's definitely. I think it's crazy. I'm also trying to shift my mindset recently, and even my messaging and videos. The Tony Crosby like is what really did this for me. Because I do agree with some of his points on how I hook videos, and I'm trying to shift away from being like I'm the highest jumper in the world. If other people say it, like cool, but I'm personally just trying to be like I have a 50.5 inch vertical, and then that's that. And I don't know, as people pop out and freaking bust out 50s and 50.5 and 51s, which I think will happen, is like think about all the free content we're putting out there, and guys like Isaiah, you know, are growing up like reading.
Well, yeah, it's one of those things where like, you know, I think there's two things happening. One is the Roger Bannister effect.
Yep.
You break the 4-minute mile. Now it's like the self-limiting belief goes away. And now people believe it's possible. And then on top of that, they see how to do it or what it takes. And I think that also carves out the path, the route. And we've shattered a lot of the misinformation out there over the years. Not just us, but hopefully other people, but definitely us. We've been outspoken about mismeasurements, and we've been outspoken about how programs don't increase your vertical. Like, dude, 5 years ago, you would still see claims like increase your vertical 6 inches in 90 days. Like that existed. That was a thing, dude. And it was like the more ridiculous the claim is, the more you would hypothetically sell, right?
Yeah.
And people were constantly balancing the ethical line or towing the ethical line where it was like, well, is that possible? I mean, one kid did it, therefore I'm going to say, you know, you can increase your vertical this amount. And it's like, yeah, but that's not the average. That's certainly not the norm. Maybe that's the best case scenario. One kid in the world did that, one outlier. Yeah. So I feel like, again, that was 10 years ago. There was no information out there like this. Like 2015, absolutely not, you know? So I think that's a big consideration. The other thing is that, you know, now people have to respect it. I think it was thankless before. When you think about let's think about like 2015, 2014, NBA players didn't know who most pro dunkers were. Stephen A wasn't going to talk about it.
Yeah.
You know, it wasn't until like 2022 that they were like, hey, these Instagram dunkers are better than NBA guys. Like they put on a show.
A little earlier. I know, I would say it was probably around 2016. It really started with Zach Levine and Aaron Gordon. They were the first NBA players that grew up in that era of TFB being really big, Team Flight Brothers.
That's crazy.
And if you were to talk to Aaron Gordon and Zach Levine, they would tell you, like, Zach Levine watched Guy Dupuis religiously growing up. Aaron Gordon watched all the pro dunkers and can name them. Bro, they can literally, they're like dunk fans. like they'll tell you, like, you know how I watch TFB and I'll mention freaking obscure videos, and they're like that. Like they're like dunk fans. So
Do you think that they've watched a podcast? Do you think that they've sat down and watched a podcast?
I don't know, maybe.
That's a weird concept, but that would
Yeah,
be cool.
they're dunk fans. So I would say that was the first generation of NBA players, and now with how viral dunking has become, like it's just more people are gonna know, more guys in the NBA are gonna know.
And we talked about this, but what's really weird is like when you went to All-Star and you're in the tunnel, tell a story about, like, we've talked about it, but I don't know if people fully understand the magnitude of this. So in my perspective, I've only seen Isaiah get recognized once or twice by NBA players, and once specifically. And that was when we were at the Sacramento Kings in 2022. That was the first time where I was like, holy shit, like, okay, so OTE and then that was the first time where I was like, oh, basketball players know who we are.
Yeah.
Like, because we talked about this yesterday. Like, we're like, specifically you're like a good basketball player, but I don't know how high level basketball you're playing in reality, but it's certainly not NBA level, and I think that they tip their hat to us, bare minimum. Like, they're like, you know what? I would have assumed that little, short, sloppy athletes wouldn't be able to do what these kids are doing. And I tip my hat to them. Like, I'm a one of one prospect in basketball, and I can't do the things they're doing. And therefore, like, I have to tip my hat to them. Like, they are super freaky athletes in that regard.
You
So,
also can never, one of the most respectable things, in my opinion, is somebody working hard. No
yeah,
matter what physical discipline that's happening in, like, you gotta respect someone getting after it. And that's something I think,
you can't dispute the grind.
bro, I've like day in and day out for years, and I've recorded essentially all of it, every single little bit of it. And people can hate on rim heights, you can hate on vertical measurements, you can hate on the training method, even, right? As we saw with the Lever King. There's a lot of things you can hate on, but the one thing that's not, you can't really hate on, is somebody just freaking trying
Gets
their
after it.
best.
Yeah, you can't really dispute hard work. You
Mhm.
can't, right? Like, what are you gonna say? Like, oh, what a loser, dude. He had to try hard. No, bro, you
Yeah.
had to work. You had to work hard at it.
And
Like, it's admirable no matter what.
and that's how I feel, to answer your question about how I feel about this whole thing. Like, it all comes down to the Socrates quote over and over and over again. At this point, I just need to get that tattooed on me. Right? It would be a shame for a man to grow old without seeing uh, what his body is capable of. And
The
I have
other quote
decided,
that Austin makes fun of you for is
if you're getting copied, it means you're doing a good thing.
mimicry is the greatest form of flattery, which is
Yeah,
really a
yeah.
quote by Mike, which is really a quote by me. But anyways, what were you saying about it?
But in terms of how I feel about it, it's inevitably, in the world of sports, you're going to lose. Inevitably, records will get broken. Inevitably, there will be someone better and faster and stronger and more athletic. But the one thing I'm still trying to do is jump higher. Like that's the one thing I'm trying to do. There's also the discipline of dunking as well. Like, I think I take pride in doing both. Like, jumping high as hell, and then dunking at a high level. I take pride in that my vertical is 50s, in the 50s, and that's a .000001 achievement.
There's like 4 guys that have done
Yeah,
it.
yeah, and it's still sick. Like, what's cool about dunking is that, in track and field, how it's basically winner takes all. It's like the number one guy gets everything.
Mhm.
What's cool about, in the platform that we're doing it in, it's like you have basketball, you have dunking, there's vertical jump testing, and you can show the skill, like, and all, like, it still doesn't take away from how impressive this stuff is. And
you know, it's reminiscent of that kind of, I guess, like, not psychological, I want to say, like, cinematic, imagery you have in your head where, you think about just like, oh wow, I wonder what Usain Bolt would do on a soccer field, or I wonder how high a high jumper would dunk, or I wonder, like, answering those types of questions. They always used to fascinate me. I always used to be like so intrigued by that
Bro,
question.
the
Dunking,
360. Oh yeah, go ahead.
but I was gonna say dunking and what we train for, you get to see that time and time again, right? Like,
Yeah.
you watch a good basketball player go out and play other basketball players, and you're like, yeah, I expected that. But like, when you see a dude with a 50-inch vertical or 50-plus-inch vertical, right, going out there and just playing against good basketball players and still 360 East Bang in game, like, it's just, you're like, what the hell? Like,
Yeah.
it's so fun to watch. And then, or you
Yeah.
see them like do other things. Like, it's fun to see freak athletes do freak outputs in
Yeah.
different settings. And you don't see that in track. You're not going to go see a high jumper dunk. You're not going to see a long jumper free throw line. You're not going to see a sprinter go play American football. You might see them play soccer, and even then it's like not as, it's just not as impressive. Like, the skill of the sport hides that output, but dunking and vertical jump does not. Like, you see it in full display in the sport.
Bro, I'm also like, I feel like I have so much untapped potential too. Like, that's the other lens as well. Is like, all right, everybody's
part of you
popping
that's
these numbers
competitive.
out. Yeah, there's a part, everybody's popping these numbers out, but there's a part of me that's like, shoot, I feel like I could jump 51 or 52. Like I'm just thinking about, the tests that I did this last year and testing 50 multiple times. Just, it didn't feel good. Like, those days were days where you would ask me and I'm like, I'm feeling okay, but like, and like, I'm thinking like my strength was down and stuff, and I feel like there's some crazy days that are
There's
gonna
just
happen this
untapped
year.
potential in there still.
Like, there's gonna be some freak performances from me, I think, this year. This might be the year where this is my athletic prime.
This is it. It's now or never.
I'm at the peak of the mountaintop. I have to take advantage, and then it's downhill.
It's all downhill after that. No, I mean, I think, from a coaching lens.
What do you think? What's your lens on this? You asked me how I feel. How do you feel about seeing that? And
As a certified D1 yapper, I don't think people really care about my feelings. They just want to know what I can give them. They just want to know what I can teach them so they can use it for themselves.
I care. I care about your opinion.
All right. Thanks, man. That means a lot. So I think at first I was skeptical. I didn't have any feelings towards it. I'm very objective about these sort of things because, like, you have to view it from, put yourself in my shoes. I'm wondering how. I don't necessarily care that it happened. I want to know how it happened, and I want to know what made it happen. That's the immediate lens I look at, is like a problem solving. And I'm very good about viewing it as data. I don't necessarily attach my emotions to it. Don't get me wrong. Like, during competition, I get really excited for my guys and I want them to, like, perform well. I mean, even people that I've, had the privilege of working with one or, a couple times, like Men and Asar, like, dude, I want to see those guys, like, excel. They treated me well. They treated people around them well. Like, I do get attached in that sense of, like, I want to see them do well and I'll root for them. I'm a fan. But when it comes to this specific area where it's like, I've spent my entire life, for all intents and purposes, or definitely all of my adult life and the majority of my post-pubescent life, trying to master this skill, or at least learn how to master it in every respect. I don't, that's still the lens that I take, right? Like, I've never been a competitor in the arena on that level. Maybe in high jump I was in high school, but I quickly had to put that aside. So for me, it was, really just admiration. I think skepticism first. And then once I realized, like, wow, that's, like, legit, it was admiration. Like, wow, dude, that's really impressive. Like, and then it was also like, you're probably going to hit 51. Like he probably on the right day he's going to test 51. He's going to on a Vertec or 51.5. He might hit 51.5. That is immediately what I thought. And then the next point was, how does this make my athletes feel? Like, it shifts more to the empathetic side of things, because I don't coach Isaiah Espinoza. Would I like to? Sure. I mean, don't get me wrong. It's always fun to coach super talented guys. He's currently doing a lot of other things, but I think it would be fun to try to push him to be better. But it immediately shifts towards, how does this make Isaiah feel? How does this make Tony feel? How does this make Donovan feel? Like, what are their feelings towards this? How do I get a pulse on this? How do I get a gauge on this? And how do I navigate this as a coach? Because you don't want that to deflate them as a coach. You want that to inspire them. You want that to motivate them to want to be better, and not necessarily say, well, I quit because I don't have the record anymore. I'm not as good as I want to be. And not that I think you guys are like that, but there are some athletes that are like that, where they're like, well, there's just, what's the point anymore? You know, like, I've trained so hard so long, and this kid just came out of nowhere. And like, it could be deflating for some people. But those aren't the people I like to coach. Those aren't the people that probably do my training. Those aren't the people that want to train 20 hours a week. So for me, it was more, how can I pair alongside these guys and problem solve so they can be better? And that's my job at the end of the day. I think a lot of people kind of view me in this dogmatic, very almost like narcissistic lens of like, I know everything, blah, 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 blah. But like, when something like this happens, I'm like, oh, wow, that's like cool. Now, how do I help the people around me to like be better? And that's ultimately my job. So yeah, I mean, that's kind of where I stand with it. I want you guys to get better. I want you guys to perform at a higher level. That's why Donovan and Dom are going to be moving in May, and Donovan has different goals. Dom has different goals. You have different objectives from that period of time. Donovan wants to grow his exposure. Dom is very much wants to perfect training and learn. I think you really want to, in my lens at least, I feel like you want to get the benefit of the competitiveness of that, because you don't oftentimes have training partners that are even remotely close. Like in sprints is probably the only time where in training, and calf raises are the only times in training where I'm actually going to offer you some sort of competitive, whatever, like, what would you call that? Like competitive nature. But like in dunking, that's not going to happen. Never. Maybe if you're doing 1 foot and I'm feeling really good, but we don't do that. So that doesn't even matter. So that's my lens on it. I think, I do think it's a good thing. I think it's a very good thing. It helps the sport. It helps the recognition of what's happening. And it continues to reinforce the idea that this needs to be tested correctly and can be tested correctly. And I think that's really the ultimate benefit, is like, dude, I mean, you have to understand, I did not coach the highest jumper for 28 years. Like, it's only been like 2 years or whatever that I've been coaching the highest jumpers in the world. Like I'm used to not coaching the best. I'm used to having to make them better to be the best. Yeah. So for me, that's the lens I come from. I didn't eat out of a silver spoon, and I wasn't handed anything as a coach either. And some people are like, well, the coach doesn't do anything, the athlete's doing everything. But like, I think you and I both understand, being coaches, that you play an intimate role in that individual's development. So yeah, for me, it's like, all right, cool, let's get after it. Like nothing changes. Nothing changes. Let's be better. Let's be better. Let's get better. Let's push the limits of what you're capable of. And hey, dude, if at the end of this you get the 51 and he's a 55, it's like, dude, he's a 55. But it's like, hey, you hit 51, bro. Like, I mean, that's how I view it. Is like, you can't control that. Those are uncontrollables. But what you can control is, like you said, how hard you work, your technique in every single aspect, your motivation, your focus in each session, perfecting your peaking at the right time, your diet, your sleep, your lifestyle. Like, and that's the art of human performance. And that's what I'm always fascinated in. I care more about people getting better than I do about total outputs, I guess, is maybe a very simple way to sum it up. So yeah, that's where I'm at. I wish you could train hard today. You're probably like fired up.
Bro, I feel great today, by the way. Like, I don't know if you saw the morning pain test.
I did see the morning pain test, actually. I did.
I feel like
you're cured, dude.
I'm ready to go.
2 weeks and you're good to go.
Trainer today. Fuck it.
You could. I mean, I think if you're gonna go crazy, Dude, it's always so random. But like, I really would wait until that session with Dom and Donovan.
Yeah, to pull it out and test.
Pull it out, yeah. Pull it out. Get it real long and see if you can just.
It's so hard being patient. Like with
Are you
training.
excited right now?
I am. I'm literally warm. Like I'm like my hands are sweaty. Like,
Tingling.
my
You're
legs
tingling.
are-
Yeah,
I
Isaiah
drank
knows it. If
freaking
you watch,
caffeine.
the caffeine. Isaiah, if you watch this, you're welcome to come out. We will pay for your flight to come out here and do this dunk session on March 15th. March 15th? I won't be there.
You're not. Yeah, you're not even gonna be there.
But I care about my athlete, Isaiah.
Just change the session to wherever you're going.
Hey, bro, dude, that would be amazing. It'd be on the beach. Like,
Where is it? Where is it? Like, going?
Yeah, I'm gonna be. I actually don't know where. My brother sent me the address today, but
Like,
yeah,
what
it's
state?
like
What state and city?
North Carolina, somewhere. You know who else is in North Carolina?
A lot of yammers. Travis, Dan, Obi's out there.
Who else is out
Oh,
there?
you're talking about Kilgannon. He went back. He went back to Toronto.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's not. He was actually in Florida, I think, this whole time, like recently. Yeah.
With Connor?
I don't know. I have no idea.
Okay, so I can tell you. I'll at least tell you what beach. I'm not gonna like disclose the full.
Someone's gonna go find you.
Ocean Isle Beach. That's where it's at.
Okay.
So yeah, someone's gonna find me and be like, "Will you help me jump higher?" Literally, I've been waiting to talk to you for 15 years. Can you help me jump higher?
Shit,
anyways,
dude, I'm like excited now. What the hell?
It could happen the 15th.
Yeah.
Do you need me to stay back? Do you need me to stay back for you?
Nah, what I need to do is find a film person.
Your wife, dude.
Maybe. Yeah.
She's amazing.
Yeah. I don't like doing that to her though.
I'll ask her. I'm just saying I'll ask her. I'm not saying she has to, but I'll ask. We'll think about it. Anyways, that all said, we're going to get going. As you know, we own a business called Translating Human Performance, Admitted Habit. Well, THPStrength, Translating Human Performance, Exceptional Strength came together to create this conglomerate, this beautiful brand, this THPStrength. If you guys are interested in getting coaching from us, yours truly, go to THPStrength.com and sign up. It's $127 a month, and you get full access to us, our coaches that we have personally trained for years. And when I say years, I mean like years, like 5 to 7 years. They're one of one. We really try to do a good job of getting the absolute best on our team. They know how we like things done. You're welcome to ask us questions. You'll get group chats. And ultimately, you get individualized training where you'll get one of the 100 and I think I have 200 cycles at this point. And I'll individually go through each week and put the right cycle that you need on there, along with being on messaging for an hour to 2 hours a day, answering messages for you guys. So we're passionate about it. We love it, as you can tell. And if you want to be a part of that team, go to THPStrength.com. See you guys. Bye.